Okay, good evening. This is Larry of LarryRicker.com, and this is my fourth video in the series on Appium, how to get started with automated testing. See, I've got Appium Desktop here, and I've got a simulator, and I'm launching the application, and I tried this with a more robust configuration with a bunch of resets and stuff in that, and it failed with errors. I've seen a lot of errors since the last video I did, and I'm trying this very minimal configuration right now, and trying to start up that app. And I see it installed, which is a first. So before I get too far, what I want to do is, since launching the simulator is extremely slow, I mean like 15 minutes, you might as well go for dinner or something, and then after you get that up, then connecting to it through Appium Desktop, like, I don't know, it seems like forever. And it seems like that's a general theme with everything here. But usually when you're going with devices and you connect to devices, I've found it's a lot quicker than going through these simulators. So I want to get this working with a real device. I've got a iPhone 6 Plus connected right now, and I'm just going to walk through. I need a little bit more software that came to light in order to connect to a real device, so I didn't want to do that offline. I wanted to make sure I did that on videos, so you're not pretending like some of this is magic. Obviously you need Xcode, and you need Xcode tools, and I've got Xcode 8.3 installed. I've got Xcode tools 8.2, I believe it was. I actually had it in one of these windows here, Xcode. Oh, actually, Xcode version Xcode 8.3.2. So that's right up to date. So obviously it's downloading the latest versions and keeping it up to date when I get my Apple updates. So I've got those two prerequisites in place. I also have Homebrew installed because I worked on previous projects where I needed Homebrew to install some software. So I'm going to switch over to one of these sessions here, and I got a few more Homebrew commands to run, and let me find a nice place to work on that. Let's see. What I want to do here is I'm installing it's a library called libimobiledevice, and libimobiledevice is needed to act as the liaison between your device and either the Java program through Selenium and Appium, or connecting it from the Appium Desktop. But this piece of software is needed in the middle to connect, so I'm going to install that right now. So the command to do that is quite lengthy, so we'll give this a whirl. Okay, so I probably should be in my root directory, so I'll just do a cd, check my present directory, it's good. Okay, so let's get started. It's brew install -v fresh automake auto config libtool, keep fingers aren't working right tonight, wget lib mobile device, and with all things computer related, typing matters. So let me just check that out, make sure I got that right. It looks right. Okay, there's a second command here to run also. Automake autoconfig libtool and wget libimobile device right there. So let's run that. I did get a little impatient with exporting all those files in the last video, IPA files. So I did bother to sit down for a little while and work on a script that took me about an hour to get it together. It's over there in that blue window. That basically goes through and loops through all my archives and exports out the IPA files. That's a little complicated and it's a little advanced for anybody that's a newbie, and obviously it has to be tweaked for your direct. So now I'm gonna. This the first command finished and of installing the libimobiledevice, and now I'm going to put in the second command here. So that one is brew install -v -head, all caps, single dash, another single dash, fresh, space, --build from source ideviceinstaller. That's a command only a programmer could love. Okay. Build from source ideviceinstaller. Obviously, you could script this out and give a script to somebody to run if you had to set up a whole team of automated testers, but wouldn't be a terrible thing. So let's install this. Okay, that flashed again in the background. I was running Appium Desktop trying to install the app and run it, but I think it failed again. No, it's still going. Okay, let it run. Okay, actually it didn't take that long, 1 minute and 58 seconds. Okay, so now we've got our libimobiledevice library installed. So since that's installed, I can continue to play with this. What app do I want? Maybe I'll try the Opportunity Organizer. That's an app to help you search for jobs, keep track of the people, the headhunters that are calling you. You can paste in out of your phone from your email the job description, put it in there. You get this little section to put in the contacts of the recruiters, and then you can put in notes like who called you, what date they called you, and keep track of them and when you followed up, when you called them back. Then if somebody called you, you could put down their name, make sure it's in there. So when somebody calls in, you could do a quick search in Opportunity Organizer and pull up their name. And I'm going to try to connect to this iPhone 6 Plus. So I also have an old iPhone 5S in the drawer and iPhone 4, but iPhone 4, that got stuck on iOS 7, and Apple never decided to upgrade that, so that's not really gonna, it didn't move on. And then I've got an iPad 2 second generation. I also use that for testing. I try to hit a few different form factors because I've got a universal app here and I want it to, particularly on the menus and stuff, to fit on the screen properly, the buttons to go all the way across the screen, the size of the text fields to expand and contract according to the orientation of the screen, whether it's landscape or portrait. I'm really hoping to test all that stuff out really well with Appium here. Okay, so let's start a new session now. And we get our familiar screen. So I've got a few configurations here, none of which work yet. So I'm going to go with this one. And nice thing about this is you can take the one that you already have, and then you could say, okay, well, that's all right, but I'm going to change it. So I'm going to take this one and rename it. I'm going to replace the IPA file, and I'm going to make it Opportunity Organizer. When I ran the script to export them, it put all the files right here in the root, which is actually kind of nice because it didn't make it all that complex directory structure that Apple does when you export it. So that's why it's a little shorter path to deal with. And then I have to change the name here of the bundle ID. Okay. And then picked up some of these other settings online. Not sure if they're going to work. But full reset and no reset seem a little redundant. I've never seen an example of both of them. So I'm going to go with no reset, full reset. I'm going to go with full reset true on this one. I'm going to get rid of no reset because it seems like they would contradict and maybe bump into each other. I don't know if they're compatible. Clear system files. Heard people complaining online that they ran it and it reset everything. Let me check out the iOS installed on this phone here. Just make sure I'm cool with it because I want that to match up. 10.3.2. Okay, perfect, match. Okay, so we're going to save as. I'm going to change this, and this is going to be the Opportunity Organizer. Save that. Give this a whirl. So start a session. I had a nice video online about Appium Desktop and how to get it working for you. Unfortunately, the video all worked with simulators and did not work with real devices. So he said the real devices work. You just got to configure them right. That's all. Okay, let me check out Opportunity Organizer. I'll make sure I got that bundle ID right. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. This phone has version 2.4.1 installed, so if it installs successfully, I should have 2.4.2. It was last built on May 22nd, 2017, so this would be a new install on this device. So I should be able to tell if this installs successfully. Okay, let's just hit these errors disappear real quick. And you just use the Shift Command 3 button to quick take a screenshot. And then hopefully I can stare at the error a little longer. It's kind of frustrating that they only show up for a little bit and then disappear. It's on my desktop. That's going to launch preview and bring it up on my screen. Okay. And the error disappeared before I could get a screenshot. Great. Run it one more time. Have this weird thing of putting the later files at the bottom. I bet you the one right above it had an error message on it. Okay, unknown server-side error occurred while processing the command. Original error, could not initialize iOS deploy. Make sure it is installed. npm install -g ios deploy and works on your system. Well, that would be my problem. I didn't install that. So let's get to it. Okay, genius. Helpful error messages. I'm like an Appium. Okay, npm install -g ios deploy. I wonder if this would fix the simulator also. This is using npm installer, which is Node package manager. Ooh, El Capitan or greater, you may add the unsafe-perm true when running npm install, or else it will fail. Sounds like we're on a dangerous operating system here. Yeah, that error message looked all kinds of threatening. You are on Xcode 10.11 El Capitan or greater. It's actually Sierra, I think. Unsafe perm true. Flag when running npm install or else it will fail. I wonder what our About Apple says about this Mac. I think it's Sierra. Yeah, Sierra 10.12.5. Mid-2012 laptop. Okay. So, well, if this fails, we'll have to add that flag, uninstall, or unsafe perm -true. This looks like it's doing a build. Export. Lots of exports. Wow. What if they had to expand the environment space to accommodate all those exports? Added package. Okay. Build succeeded. I'd say we're okay. Maybe we don't have to add any other stuff. Let's see if this error comes up again. We'll save that one. Some of these other ones. Okay. Interesting, interesting. Let's see what that error message said. Okay, unknown server-side error occurred while processing the command. Original unable to launch WebDriver agent because Xcode failure. Xcode build failed with code 65. Huh. Thank you, Google. I'd say they got further than I did. Well, this error might work. Now here's another npm install. Carthage. Okay. I think that's another thing I have to install. Okay, they want you to change into that directory, then do the npm install. And it does matter where you are when you do these npm installs. Okay, the next piece of software I'm going to install is Appium itself. Now, Appium is bundled with the Appium Desktop. However, I'll need the separate Appium to connect to in Java. So you can check if you have it installed just with this command. I just ran npm list Appium. And if it comes up empty, that means that it's not installed. So the command to install it, Appium looks like it's there. Okay, Appium is there. Okay. Okay, if you're in user local lib, it's there. Okay, let's move on. Let's get to the next thing. Okay, I'm gonna do some brew installs here. I think this is the command. Yeah, I don't think that's available, so let's install that one. Okay, ios-webkit-debug-proxy. Just gonna try the last part alone. That looked a little better. I'm gonna check the install. Looks good. Okay. Next install is going to be, well, I've got the libimobile device, and I do not have USB MUX-D. Just going to verify that. I do have. So this sees, okay, this is this one. This one was installed by brew, right? So brew must be managing the dependencies, right? Okay. Sorry. Replace brew with npm. There's a mixture here. npm's installing all the JavaScript. Brew is installing other software. So we've got Carthage. I did that already. Here's some nice little debugging lines to check my connection to my device. I've got a device right here. I'm just going to try it and see if this works. So then it pops up with a message, do you trust this computer? And then you touch trust on the screen. It'd be nice if I could have the display over here. I'm going to figure that out and get that on this video eventually. Once I get Appium Desktop up, the screen will just display right on the desktop, and I'll be able to include that in the video. Well, I've spent a lot of time offline digging through blogs and web pages and different sites trying to get the working configuration for this Audium. And what I found was this page, and I was starting to go through this one page, and it was an error occurred back in October 24th, 2016, and it was talking about the xcuitest-driver, and that's the one I was configuring and getting it all set up. I'm not getting any of the authentication or the key errors any longer, but I did get this error about let's see, it was trying to build the WebDriver agent, and it wasn't able to do that. And I had the logs running, and I started digging through these logs that people had attached. It was looking exactly like my situation. And then way down here at the bottom, it didn't really give you an answer to this. It just kind of closed out the issue. They said open up the WebDriver agent project. It's loaded inside the appium-xcuitest-driver subdirectory, subfolder, where Appium is installed in Xcode, and add xctest framework to the list of frameworks used by the WebDriver agent lib project. It's not much to go on, but it really clued me on how to get this working. And then I'll just show you that in a second. Down here there was somebody else here, Chi White Socks 56 commented, I'm having the same issue. I was wondering if you can elaborate on what made the signing certificate bad, and was it expired? Was it associated with the wrong team ID? Any information would be helpful. So I don't know if I'm going to comment on this or not. I might put a comment there, but let's continue here. I'll show you by video how I got this. So I was going through the logs, and I got the full path to that project, and I've got it in my clipboard right here. So I'm going to just go, or I'm going to go to Xcode, and I did a file, open quickly, and then I just pasted in the fully qualified path from the error message that was trying to compile the source for this project. It's applications, Appium app, contents, resources, app, node modules. So it's installed under the node modules under Appium. Appium node modules. It's got nested node modules there. And then Appium-xcuitest test-driver WebDriver agent, WebDriver agent.xcode project. So I opened up this project with the that link there, which is open quickly. Kind of a cool feature. I didn't know about this in Xcode previously. So that opened up this project, and what I found in here was these settings here were all set to none. And so there was no signing certificate, there was no provisioning profile on this project. So what I did was I switched it to myself, of course, and because I have a valid developer ID. And then I went through, and this one also had none here, and I switched that over to myself. And then I went to the unit tests, and this was set to none, and then I changed it to myself. I went to the integration tests, and that was set to none. And say something that says assigning integration tests requires a development team. So this is what that comment meant. You know, it doesn't have a valid team. So you just change it from none. It was set to none. You just change it to yourself. Use your Apple developer ID. And then you set it to your device. And I have a few devices here, so I just did it one at a time and just ran it on the device. And actually this device hasn't done it already, so this is kind of a new one for this one, first time. So it pops up with this little app, and this apparently was developed by Facebook. I saw in here somewhere a reference to com.facebook. So here it is. The bundle identifier is com Facebook integration app. So they apparently developed this, and I read about this somewhere, that Apple required to have an app installed in order to integrate with Appium in iOS 10 and above. So you have to get this app built and installed on your machine, on your real device that you want to integrate with. So I've done that one. I might do my iPad next. But once you do this build and you run this app, and it comes up and it pops up and it has a few little menus that you can go through. Anyway, what you do is you go back to Appium Desktop, and I'll just start over from fresh. So you start up the server, and then you start a new session. Oh, actually, I'm switching devices here, so I got to switch devices. So this is the jeez, I just showed you my password. Okay, I'll have to cut that out. So you hit the start session. And this will pop up. I really don't like the fact that you have to put your password in the configuration here to get this thing working. I mean, I set up a separate key store for this, but I really don't like the password being in there. Passwords are something that really got to figure out a better way to deal with this with Selenium and Appium and all these things. Okay, that one failed to launch. Great. Well, I'm going to show you, I'm going to switch devices here, figure that one out offline, and then I'll pull the plug on this one. I'm going to switch over to the iPhone 6 Plus that's working so far. Stop the server, close the logs, start the server. Okay, yeah, I pulled your plug. Okay, and then I'm going to run it on the 6 Plus here. Alright, in that last video I said I'd take it offline and figure out what the problem was. And I looked over the video and figured it out here. I have the cursor down here on integration app. You have to put the cursor up here on WebDriver agent lib and then build the, well, actually you got to make sure that it's actually building the WebDriver lib. and installing that on your device. So I'm going to do that now. Install that, have that pop up with this screen, and then after that pops up on the screen, then I'm going to go back to Appium Desktop. But you have to get this built on your device with your teams set on each of these 5 targets, set to your development team and your signing certificate, and then you should be able to resolve your, okay, so that built successfully. I'm going to do it on the iPad after this, give that a whirl. So that's done. Out of Xcode, go back to okay, got 2 projects running here. Let's go back to Appium Desktop, and no password visible, good. Alright, so let's do a start session. So actually I'm going to go over here and carefully kind of stop this server, close the logs, start the server, and then I'm going to start up a new session. I got the session going right here, so we'll put that right about here. That should block the password out, and then start. So these are some of the settings I had to get as far as the capabilities set up. So you have to set an app with the name of your app and the IPA file fully qualified to your the app on your machine. You got the automation name. Now you could set that to Appium, but I found that it works, well, it just works when you do XCUI, all caps, capital T-E-S-T. And then you have to include your bundle ID. Now I haven't tried it yet, but I understand you can not have the app and just have the bundle ID, and then it'll connect to the app on the machine, on the device, without installing it. Clear system files, that might be optional. Device name, that's required, but I think you can put anything you want. Full reset, not sure if that's optional or not. Keychain password, definitely required. And then you have to have your keychain file, and that you're going to have to do off on your own. It's at the bottom of that page about the XCUI driver. It describes that process. It's 2 steps. You go into your keychain file, and then you have to extract out the file, and then you have to run these 2 commands that create a new key store. And I actually, for me, those directions created an invalid key store. So I might actually have to cover that on video, but I'm trying to think about how to do that without exposing my password. But anyway, so those, if you stop the screen, you can actually see most of these settings here. You need a full reference to your Xcode project. You need to have your Xcode orig ID, and that's not your name. That's the ID in developer.apple.com that's associated with your team. It's the identifier for your team. So I had that wrong for a while and got that fixed. And so now it just flashed on my device. It came up with that little app from Facebook, and that flashed across the screen. And now it appears like it's loading the app, and there's my app. Okay, so my app's running. So this is Appium Desktop connected to an iPhone 5S with the Badwood Names app running here. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on the, just to get all my devices up and running, I'm going to do this on the iPad 2 S, 2nd generation I've got sitting here as well. So I'm just going to go through this again. It's kind of going to be a recap, but if you have different devices, we'll shoot through this. So I'm going to shut this down and shut this down and kill this. And I'm going to go over to Xcode, pull up the WebDriver agent. I'm going to pull the plug on the iPhone 5S and plug in the iPad 2 second generation and wake that thing up. In other words, put in my password. Okay, let's see if it's online. Okay, good. So again, you got to build this WebDriver agent on every device that you want to do Appium on. So you definitely want to get this installed on all your devices. So you, again, have to do this one time. You have to go and set up your team, and then on each one of these targets, and then you pick the first target, and then you build it. Okay, let's go back over to Appium Desktop. Now, I must say this iPad 2 is a little different beast. It is a second generation iPad, so it got left behind in iOS 9. So it's still running iOS 9 dot something, and consequently that changes some things. But I do want to continue to support it on my app. I left behind with the last release my iPhone 4 because that was never upgraded beyond iOS 7, so that was left behind. But I want to keep my deployment target as 9.3 to keep this iPad still on, so I can continue to test with a different form factor, a little bit larger screen. Eventually, I will drop the iPad 2, but I'm not sure when. So we want to start session. And then I've got different capability sets for each different device. Now if I click right on this button here, I don't think it shows me the password. Good. Okay, so I've got this set. This one's a little different. Like I said, it's a platform name iOS, platform version 9.3.5. So it's running iOS 9. It's my name. The UDID is different. Bundle ID is the same. App is the same. This full reset, I could do that. And then that's a Boolean. App could probably be a file path, but I'm going to try it like this. And if it doesn't work, I might consider making that a file path. And then I've got the xorg ID, which is wrong. Okay, that needs to be fixed. So let's save this. Just looking over these settings. Okay, so I updated a few settings. There was the Xcode orig ID, which was for my team's ID. iPhone developer stays the same. The xconfig file, the automation name is set to xcuitest. I may have to try that with Appium if that doesn't work. And then I put in the fully qualified path to my key store, which you'll have to read about that offline because I can't show you that on video, and the key store password. So let's give it a start. Okay, full reset is mutually exclusive, so if we set that to true, we need to set no reset to false. That makes sense. Okay. I'm just adjusting the screen lock settings for my devices to increase the time that it takes for them to clear screen and go back to the login screen. It is kind of time consuming, at least while you're doing this development, and I don't want to constantly be touching the devices to keep them online. On my iPhone 5S, I just set it to never go to sleep. I mean, it's on power. It's an old device. If I burn the screen out completely, I say la vie. It's actually very unlikely the screen's going to burn out because I got a screen replacement. Okay, I think it's safe to show you the screen now. Like I said before, I really don't like the fact that your password has to be in the configuration, but I understand that Appium has to get access to your key store to get information about how to put the app onto your device. Things are going a little slower on this iPad 2 because, well, it's an iPad 2, second generation. It's not going to go as fast as an iPhone 6 Plus. Okay, my app just launched on the device. Came up. Now I adjusted the orientation. Weird. Went all sideways on me. Okay. That was weird. Okay, so we have it going here. And I think this is going to be a break on this video, and then I'm going to pick up the next video with actually building out my first test. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to cover in this video. It's my understanding that you can take a project and you can change the udid ID here and make it, delete it, and put auto. And if that won't be to a specific device, and you can switch devices and it'll automatically pick up the device that's currently connected to the machine. So if you only have one device connected. And I'm going to do a full reset here. Clear system logs, no. Developer ID. This one, again, need to pick this up from another configuration. I'm going to set that one to false. The reset false, full reset true. This needs to be changed to my this one's actually interesting. I don't have the information like the password and the signing certificate. Let me give this a try and see if this works. Because I really would rather not have the password in there if I don't have to. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so actually, maybe that's not completely correct. All right. So some of the stuff I've read online about you have to do all this stuff with setting up, extracting out your key store and then putting it into a separate key store file and then putting the password in there. This just launched without that. So I'm going to continue this course and video series without passwords in my config files and give that a whirl. Now what was important about this test, and the reason I wanted to show this to you, is the settings were actually that this one, for one, didn't have a password, it didn't have a reference to a key store, and it's not configured for the it's plugged into an iPhone 5, and this was the iPhone 6 Plus configuration. Then I deleted the UDID ID, replaced it with the word auto, and then auto detected that there was an iPhone 5, and then picked the UDID from that device automatically, and then launched the app on that device, installed it on that device, and launched it. So I'm going to try to use that auto feature in my, it's just going to simplify switching between devices if I don't have to be changing the UDID between my 3 devices, and I can just have one configuration set that works on all 3 devices. I'll just switch wires and run my tests.